Kvod Malchus Le'olam Vod. Why? Because it's like very simple. You insulted Hashem by saying His name in vain. So by saying Baruch Shem Kvod Malchus, you're blessing His name forever and ever. So it's like rectifying a little bit of the making embarrassment of Hashem's name by saying His name in vain. Now, what happens, therefore, because you're not allowed to say a bracha in vain? What's the difference? What's the din if somebody doesn't remember if they made a bracha or not? Do they make a bracha or don't they make a bracha? For instance, somebody finished eating and they don't remember, did I say a bar nefashis? Didn't they say bar nefashis? Did I make ala michya or didn't they make ala michya? So the din is only by Bruchas hamazon. If you're full, then it's biblical benching. So then you repeat the bracha. If you don't remember, you said it. But if somebody doesn't remember if they said another bracha or not, because it's rabbinic only, and we're afraid you might be saying a bracha in vain, which is a biblical prohibition, so therefore the din is you don't do it. The Gemara tells a story that in the days of David HaMelech, there was an epidemic, and 100 people were dying a day. In Eretz Yisrael, 100 people were dying a day. So they asked a question from upstairs, what's going on? And David HaMelech was told that if you make 100 brachas a day, the epidemic will stop. So the Chacham of that generation instituted, David HaMelech basically, that you need to say 100 brachas a day. They base it on a few psukim and chumash. One pasuk says, "Va'ata Yisrael ma Hashem Elokecha shel mimach." Literally means, now Jews, what does Hashem want from you? He only wants you to fear Hashem. But the Gemara says, don't read it ma, read it meya. Va'ata Yisrael, now Jews, meya, 100 brachas, Hashem Elokecha shel mimach. Another pasuk says, Nu'um HaGever, praiseworthy of a person hukam oil, who establishes a yoke. Oil is ayin lamed, which is 70 and 30, which equals 100. So that's the remez to it of mentioning 100 brachas a day. Now, what's the purpose of mentioning 100 brachas a day? Because there's 98 curses in the Teichacha, plus the other two of, what you may call it, Kol Choli V'Chol Makkah. So the 100 brachas that we make a day cancels out the 100 curses that we have in the Teichacha. Now, normally, during the week, it's not a big deal. You have a bunch of brachas in the morning, okay? Then you have the Amida Shmonesre, which is 19 brachas 3 times a day. So another 3 times 19, which is 57. Plus the brachas in the morning, plus the brachas here, washing, benching, whatever it is. It's very easy to come to 100 brachas. The problem is on Shabbos. Shabbos, you have less brachas. Why? Yes, we have Musaf, but each Shmona Esrei, each Amida only has 7 brachas, not 19 like we have during the week. So all the brachas of the Shmona Esrei, of the Amida on Shabbos is only 4 times 7, which is 28, versus 57. During the week, Shmona Esrei 3 times is 57 brachas. The 4th Shmona Esrei on Shabbos is only 4 times 7 is 28. So what do you do to make up those lost brachas? So it says a number of things. Number one, it says when people get aliyas to the Torah, when they're called up to the Torah, and instead of talking, you listen to the bracha and answer Amen, so then it's considered as if you said the bracha. So you have 7 aliyas plus maftir, so you have 8 aliyas times 2, bracha before and after 16, plus the brachas of the haftarah, which is another few brachas. So that's how you make, and Shabbos, you eat more meals, you eat more food, more, like it says in Shabbos, you're supposed to eat more fruits and things to be able to make up the 100 brachas that you have during the day. Okay, next. If somebody hears a bracha from his friend, somebody else is making a bracha, and they say, Baruch Atah Hashem, so you're supposed to really say, Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei. When they finish the bracha, you're supposed to say Amen. Now, you can only say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei in a place where you're allowed to talk. In a place where you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei. With meaning, Once you said Baruch Sha'amar, you're not allowed to talk. Just talking. You're not allowed to talk. People should know that in Shul. After Baruch Sha'amar until after Shemana Esrei, you're not allowed to talk. So then you don't say Baruch Hu V'Baruch Shmei. If you're any place in davening or another thing which is interesting, if you're listening to Kiddush from somebody or any other bracha from somebody to be Yetzer, you're not allowed to say Baruch Hu V'Baruch Shmo. According to the Alter Rebbe, you're not Yetzer. You have to do it again. You're not Yetzer Kiddush if you say Baruch Hu V'Baruch Shmei. They prove in the Chassam Sofer that Chassam Sofer held that if you did it, b'diavad, it's good. But again, any place where a person is listening to a bracha like Shofar, Megillah, the guy's making a bracha for you. You're not allowed to say Baruch Hu V'Baruch Shmei. You're just allowed to answer Amen. And it's a hefsek, and you're not allowed to talk. Any place where you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to say Baruch Hu V'Baruch Shmei. Now,
even you say Baruch Hu V'Baruch Shmo, you don't have to say Amen. After Kriyat Shofar, don't bring Amen.
Sure you do. After the bracha, you say Amen.
No, not after Kriyat Shofar.
Yeah, you don't say Baruch Hu Shmo either. I said the bracha and Tkiyah Shofar. Before Tkiyah, I know what they do in Yemen, in Tel Aviv over there. But in America,
in Ashkenaz.
Yeah. By the way, Sfardim also. Before they blow shofar, they make a bracha.
Yeah.
Shekisham mitzvah tzvanu lishma kol shofar.
Yeah.
And shechianu. Ken?
Yeah, but
So what you have to answer Amen, you're not allowed to say Baruch Hu V'Baruch Shmo, that's all.
Amen you don't have to say.
Yes, you do.
Shulchan Aruch says no.
Which Shulchan Aruch?
I said Shulchan Aruch.
Oh, your Shulchan Aruch. Yeah, that could be.
Shulchan Aruch.
Your Shulchan Aruch version could be.
I'm reading Shulchan Aruch of Yosef Karo. Which Shulchan Aruch do you have?
Rabbi Yosef Karo.
Same thing?
Yeah, same one you have. You have to answer Amen. If you want to be Yetzer something, forget. If you don't answer Amen, it's questionable if you're Yetzer or not. Anyway, but what does Amen mean? Okay, somebody makes a bracha, you answer Amen. Amen really means two things. Amen means true, that it's true what you said, and Amen also means it should happen. Like you say, by when they bench the Chodesh, yeah? Chadshelka, L'tzasin, L'simcha, L'chaim, L'shalom, right? V'nomar Amen. What do you mean we're saying Amen? Amen, that it should happen. So when a person makes a bracha and somebody else answers Amen, so the Gemara says like this: whoever answers Amen, the one that answers Amen is greater than the one that made the bracha. Gadol ha'ena Amen Yosef min ha'mevarach. The Gemara says, and Shulchan Aruch brings it down. One that answers Amen is greater than the one that made the bracha. There's two reasons for this. One reason is because it's like when you make a motion and you second the motion, you validate it. The one that makes the bracha says Hashem is great. He's nominating. And when you say Amen, you validate it. You're seconding the motion, which strengthens it. So therefore, the Gemara says, one that answers Amen is greater even than the one that made the bracha. That's one answer. The second answer we discussed Shabbos afternoon, by the way, that Amen equals 91. Aleph, Mem, Nun, 140, 50 equals 91. Yud Kei Vav Kei equals 26. But we don't pronounce it Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's written Yud Kei Vav Kei. How do we pronounce a bracha? Baruch Atah, with the word Adnai. Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud. That's the way we pronounce it. Now, Adnai, or the way we pronounce Hashem's name, equals 65. Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud equals 65. Yud Kei Vav Kei equals 26. 26 and 65 is 91. So it says like this. The guy that makes the bracha doesn't say Yud Kei Vav Kei. He just says Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud, like we pronounce the bracha. But when you answer Amen, which equals 91, you're counting Yud Kei Vav Kei and Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud. So that's why you're greater than the one that makes the bracha, because you have both names of Hashem. Not only the name of Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud that the person pronounces the bracha, but you also have the level of Yud, Kei, Vav, Kei. Therefore, when a person answers Amen, besides the fact that it says you have to answer Amen with all your koyach, it doesn't mean yelling and screaming. That's morons do that. Foolish people do that. But you have to answer meaning it, listening to the bracha and answering Amen properly. Now, there's what's called Amen Chatufa and Amen Yesoma. There's a grabbed Amen and there's an orphaned Amen. What does that mean? It means a few things. Sometimes a person answers Amen before the guy finishes the bracha. You find especially by Yom Yisrael, Basha, everybody's answering Amen already. The guy didn't even finish the bracha yet. You have to say the word Basholem. Then you answer Amen. That's called Amen Chatufa. Amen Chatufa means you're grabbing the Amen, you're saying it too early. Another definition of Amen Chatufa means Amen. You don't, you're supposed to say it properly, Amen, not Amen, So that's two definitions of Amen Chatufa. Amen Yesema means an orphaned Amen, that there's no bracha that is going on. Meaning, a guy says, Baruch Atah Hashem, whatever it is, 3 minutes later you wake up to say Amen. So it's like an orphaned Amen, it doesn't have a father of a bracha. You have to answer Amen right away. And therefore, it's interesting, by Torah reading, a lot of times when the Bakore, the guy makes the bracha on the aliyah, and then the guy's trying to find the place, the reader, the Bakore, and then before he starts reading, he says, Amen, but that's already too late after the bracha. You have to answer Amen in the proper time, not before the end of the bracha, and not after the end of the bracha. So you have to say it Amen properly and do it like that.
Rabbi,
Yes.
when I read after, he said, Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh HaShabbat, Amen.
Who says Amen?
Huh?
Who says Amen? Not
You say Amen.
everybody else, not the guy that says it.
Some people say that.
No, but it says in Shchonarchet. I know what a lot of people drive on Shabbos too. It says in Shchonarchet, it says Ein Amen al birchas hatzmei. You don't answer Amen on your own bracha. Why don't you answer Amen on your own bracha? It's like, just think. A guy says a statement. He says, I say this and this. Yeah, I'm right. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. You say the bracha and you're saying, yeah, I'm right. Somebody else has to say you're right. Somebody else has to validate it. You can't make a nomination and after you nominate the thing, you say, yeah, I'm right. That doesn't validate it. Somebody else needs to validate it. The only exception to this, by the way, and some Sfardim do it in different places also, but the only exception to this is after Beinei V'Rachma of Yerushalayim Amen, in benching. And even then, Taisa says, and it's brought down in Halacha, that you have to say the Amen quietly. You say Beinei V'Rachma of Yerushalayim, and the guy that's saying it says Amen quietly. Why does everybody say Amen at the end of Beinei V'Rachma of Yerushalayim Amen? So the reason for that is, again, very simple. You need to differentiate between the first 3 brachas of benching, which are biblical, to the 4th bracha, Hakel Avinu, that bracha, which was added much, much later. It's a rabbinic bracha. Right? We learned already. The first bracha of Bruchas and Moshe Moshe Rabbeinu made. Second one Yeshua made. The third bracha Beinei V'Rachma of David and Shlomo made. And Ateva Meitiv was added much later when people from Beito were brought to Kfura, to burial. Okay, that's for now. So the bottom line is, because the first 3 brachas are biblical and the next bracha is rabbinic, to separate between the biblical brachas and the rabbinic brachas, we say Amen. But even then, you do it quietly. Sometimes Sfardim by Ma'ariv will say Shemer Sami Yisrael Ad Amen. I mean, the Sfardim have a tradition certain other times to say Amen. By the Ashkenazim, the only time you say Amen after your own bracha is after Beinei V'Rachma Yerushalayim Amen, to separate between the biblical and the rabbinic. And we'll learn in Mitzvah Hashem when you can answer Amen, when you don't answer Amen, and so on and so forth. Okay. B'chanan ben Akashim,